Terrific. Great. Thanks, everybody. Good evening. This is Brendan Magnan, Chair of the Milford Inlands Wetlands Commission. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Inlands Wetlands Agency for September 6, 2023. Lisa, could you please call the roll?
Ranjit Bahav.
Here.
Daniel Bedecker.
Here.
Jim Connors.
Here.
Matthew Connors.
Here.
Dave DeFlameri. Heather Donaldson. Steve Munson.
Here.
Julie Valvo.
Here.
Brendan Magnan.
Here. Thank you. Just as a gentle reminder, please place yourselves on mute until being recognized by the chair. That's me. In accordance with the Freedom of Information Act and Governor Lamont's executive orders, this meeting is being recorded and will be made available on the City of Milford website. It's also being broadcast over YouTube as we speak. See, I invite everybody to stand with me and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. If Mary Rose, you could show the flag and folks could unmute themselves. Okay, I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of
the United States of
America,
to the
and
Republic
to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Just as a matter of business, Matthew Connors, Commissioner Connors, designating you as voting alternate this evening. Item C, public comments. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to address the board on matters not otherwise on the agenda? Anyone here from the public wishing to speak on matters not otherwise on the agenda? Seeing none, I'll move on to item D1, old business. Mary Rose, can you give us an orientation on this one, please?
Sure. This is IWC 23005. It's a violation at 1 Avalon Drive that was issued back on July 17th to Marianne Residential for clearing work in and within 100 feet of a wetland and watercourse in the Indian River watershed. At our meeting on the 19th of July, the agency upheld the order and required the property owners remove a stockpile on site, topsoil and straw and seed to stabilize the area. This has been done. The agency required the property owners retain a certified soil scientist and professional wetland scientist by August 10th. That has been done. They've also we required that they retain a land surveyor and that they submit a map to the agency with A2T2 quality by 9/14/23, including a wetland mitigation plan for the area that was disturbed. In the documents tonight, the applicant's engineers emailed me that they have done the survey and they expect to have the information for the next meeting, which will be the 20th of September. I did look at the site today. The seed has come in nicely. They were actually mowing the grass. So the area is stabilized. We don't have to worry about any runoff, but we do need now to get the mitigation plantings in there. I don't believe anyone for this project is here this evening, and I would recommend no action at this time.
Great, thanks, Mary Rose, for all the support on this one in between now and the past meeting. Moving on, item D2.
This is IW 230047. It's 13 Yale Avenue. This is a proposal by the property owners to remove overgrowth and invasive species from the yard area on the lot and a portion of the adjoining lot that's owned by the Morningside Homeowners Association. The work proposed is in and within 100 feet of a wetland in the South Central Shoreline watershed. An authorization to apply from the Morningside Homeowners Association has been received. The yard slopes from the intersection of Yale and Marketplace back towards Edgefield Avenue. There is approximately a 6-foot grade change from the intersection to the rear property line. And there's an intermittent water course that runs just over the property line along Edgefield Avenue. At the last meeting, professional wetland scientist, Dr. Steve Danzer, reviewed the wetland location and the proposed work. Questions the agency had was the clarification of the planting types. We want to ensure they were appropriate and native. Confirmation that the work will not impede or create another water problem. We want to ensure that what is proposed is not going to cause a water issue on adjoining properties or for this property owner. And a clarification on the amount of fill that is proposed. A letter from the landscape architect with responses to the agency's questions is in the links, along with the site plans, the soil report, the Morningside Homeowners Association authorization, and my site walk notes from 5/3/23. Mr. Chairman, this evening, the applicant is represented by Tracy Chaffo, the landscape architect, and the homeowners is represented by Bradley Bowman. And they're both here this evening. I'm not sure if Ms. Chaffo would like to share her screen or if she'd like me to share ours, so let me know.
Thank you, Mary Rose. Ms. Chapeau? I'm sorry, I pronounced your last name incorrectly.
That's okay. Good evening, commission members. For the record, I'm Tracy Shalafo, landscape architect with Tracy Shalafo LLC, located in Danbury, Connecticut. Yes, I'd like to share my screen, please. Here we go. Okay, that should be coming right up. Can you all see that clearly?
We do see it. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so this plan has been revised since the last time you saw it at the previous hearing to address some of the comments of the comment letter. And first of all, I'd like to point out the plant list here at the top right of the plan. And this list is primarily native plants for the wetland areas, I should say. And there is 1 native canopy tree proposed, 35 native shrubs, and about 170 native perennials that will be planted once the existing invasive bramble and vegetation is removed. So those native plantings are throughout this area here, if you can all see where I'm motioning on the plan.
We can.
So along here, a nice thick buffer. And additionally, the native canopy tree is here. And then along the existing fence to the south, along this property line, we're also creating a buffer of native plants. And currently, there's nothing here, so we're really adding a lot of habitat value with this planting plan. And also another comment that came up was the amount of topsoil that may be brought into the site. And the answer to that is we're just bringing in approximately 4 inches of topsoil, and this is just enough topsoil to promote a healthy lawn. So within the stippled areas you see, that's the approximate area of where the topsoil will be placed. And some of this soil is actually used for backfilling some holes and irregularities that are throughout here. Like, for example, in this area, there's an old stump to be grubbed out, so we need to do some backfilling there to support the healthy new lawn. And in turn, that lawn is really going to help to slow runoff, and that sort of ties into the next comment about, will drainage patterns be changed? And the answer is that the lay of the land is going to stay the same, except for that skimming of topsoil that will be sort of mixed in and used to backfill. We're not changing the grading of this property. And between having a nice thick lawn that chemicals will not be used on going forward, they should be using organic fertilization on the lawn, if anything. The native buffer plantings are also going to serve to slow the stormwater down. So generally, yes, it does pitch this way, but that's where we're putting a plant that is really going to take up a lot of water. That would be the river birch. And then to the sort of southwest of that birch is a groupings of native viburnum. So all of these plants are plants that do well in anything from wet conditions to moderate conditions. So I think it's going to be a great improvement to the stormwater patterns here, and also much better habitat value. So yeah, and we don't expect there would be no changes to the drainage patterns, of course, on the Morningside parcel either. So that addresses the 3 comments. I'd be happy to take any questions at this time.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for the applicant? Well, the landscape architect.
Through you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Connors.
I guess my question would be, is there any sort of maintenance plan, or is this kind of like we're removing the invasives, planting these native shrubs, and just forgetting about it?
Thank you for that question. And yes, in fact, there is a maintenance plan that goes along with this. So it's note number 7 under the restoration narrative. And going forward, we're proposing a 3-year monitoring for the areas of invasive removal. So essentially everything's, removed with the root system and disposed of offsite initially, and we put in the new native plants. And then at least twice a year for 3 years, the areas will be inspected for regrowth of that invasive vegetation, and the same method will be used to, if it does occur, to remove it with the root system and to dispose of it off-site. And by the time 3 years have passed, these native plants will have really grown together into masses to create sort of this layered canopy within that area, which should outcompete that invasive vegetation over time.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mayor Rose, do you have any questions or any
Yep.
comments?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Going back to the question on diverting water, I just want to ensure that we're not causing any more water, or you're not causing any more water to go off onto the adjoining property on Marketplace. That water tends to go there naturally, but you're not increasing the flow or changing the flow onto a neighbor's property, because that would be the responsibility of your client. And then I was wondering how you're going to protect the swale entry on the Morningside property during construction. Should we have a heavy rainstorm while you've got that all rubbed out? Do you have a plan at the end of day, or if rain comes up during the day, to either hay bale or filter fabric that entrance or around it? I see we have silt fence around the area, but at the swale entrance, you want to make sure we're not adding any dirt to the piping there.
Yes, thank you for that, Mary Rose. So yes, the approximate silt fence location is shown here, sort of wrapping that entire area, that entire swale. And it does note that the location is to be determined in the field, but I would also like to add that these plantings should be done during low flow conditions. So, with the checking of the forecast, and then, if these plantings just take, say, maybe a few days to install, hopefully we can find a dry window of time to get them in. But also an eye can be kept on the entrance to that swale to make sure it stays clean. If it's additional hay bales or another row of silt fence or a core log or something to that effect, we could certainly add erosion controls as needed once things are, once construction has begun.
And
What about the first question?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Mary Rose asked 2 questions. I think you addressed the second one. Can you address the first one in regards to flooding of adjacent properties?
Oh, thank you. Nothing that we're doing will exacerbate or increase runoff to the adjacent properties. There are grading notes here stating that the contractor shall ensure that the existing topography is not altered. The contractor shall maintain the existing drainage pattern of the properties, and the contractor shall ensure that the proposed work will not impede or create any water problems or drainage issue on 13 Yale Avenue or on the Morningside Association property.
Mary Rose, are you comfortable with that, that grading note, or does that need to include, for example, marketplace as well?
It probably should include marketplace as well. The water tends to run in that direction, but since you don't have grades on here, you can't show what pre and post are going to be to prove that you didn't make it any worse.
Okay,
So-
yes, we'll note that runoff will not be increased to marketplace as well.
Any other questions, Mary Rose?
No.
How about from the commissioners? Are there any other questions? If there's no other questions, I do have a question. Where you're showing the existing wetlands, if you can maybe move the map up just a little bit.
Yes.
Thank you. Are there any natural features that are going to demarcate that line, or is it just going to be kind of sort of blind? Is the line just going to be all continuous and it's going to be kind of, that line will be kind of blind to everybody, like, you know, hidden, unless you're looking at this map? Like, is that the intent?
So currently, this as it exists is lawn over wetlands, so it's not performing any ecological functions. And
Right.
there's a lot of invasive vegetation within that area to a point that it's hazardous for the owners. So, you know, it will be lawn as this plan proposes going forward. The owner would like to maintain it as lawn, but that's also why we're providing new plants within this area to the south. So no, we don't plan on having a demarcation here because the owner would like a little more usable lawn space. They have very little right now because this is sloped back here, so that this is a little less sloped, and it makes sense since historically it's been maintained as lawn to do the same going forward, but returning this amount to native plantings.
Understood. Mary Rose, just from a precedence perspective, is there any guidance you would offer around that particular point? Are we sort of okay with the intent as it's described and not marking those wetlands with any kind of boundary markers? Or
Right. I may have misunderstood when Mr. Danzer presented at the last meeting. I thought he said that they were going to they were doing a different kind of lawn in that area, but I may have not heard him correctly. Historically, if there was any filling of wetlands, it would have required a public hearing. This is lawn. We can see from the pictures from my site walk.
right?
It's kind of an overgrown mishmash of invasive and, you know, past grass in this area, and it's hummocky, so it isn't really a safe place to walk or for the owner's grandchildren to play. So it's the agency's choice if they want to require a site walk and a public hearing to look at that, or if the pictures and the testimony of Mr. Danzer and Ms. Chavlot suffice, and that mitigation for that, you know, changing overgrown wetland planning to a lawn, to all lawn. It is some lawn now, and compensating by additional plants along the southern edge and on the mitigation of the plantings on the Morningside property.
Mhm.
That's
Approximately,
the balance the agency needs to look at.
Thank you for that, Mary Rose. Just approximately, what's the square footage of that area?
Approximately a little over 200 square feet, I would say.
Pretty small. Okay. I'm fine with it. I don't believe we need a site walk given the testimony we've heard and the current conditions, but I welcome others.
I think it's a very good plan, and that little 200 foot of wetlands being lawn, I don't think it's gonna ever hurt a thing, and it'll improve the whole property and
Agreed.
make it usable. That's my feeling.
I agree. Commissioner Munson.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I agree with Commissioner Connors. I would just ask, Rose, is 3 years of review of the mitigation, is that sufficient? You think?
I think the question was, is there sufficient mitigation for the loss of approximately 200 square foot of wetland? Mr. Flo, can you give me a approximate square footage of the mitigation work on the Morningside property and the plantings along the southern border?
Okay, approximately encompassing this entire area, 100 times 20,000. I'm approximating here, but I would say it's about 2,500 square feet. So I'd say, just to put it, proportionately speaking, we're giving about 6 times more in mitigation than what we're asking for to maintain as lawn.
Thank you. That was where we were going with that question. That's helpful. Good
You're
perspective.
Would
Commissioner
the
Munson, sorry, Mr. Munson still had something to offer.
Yeah, I just asked Mary Rose, has there been any reaction from the general public about this?
The only folks that I've heard from are the Morningside Association, who highly endorses the plan.
Thank you. Mary Rose, was there something else you wanted to add?
I didn't know if the commissioners wanted to see the photographs from May to try to visualize the area again, or they're good with the map.
I'm good with it. I'm good with what we saw already. Okay. Ms. Shalapa, is there anything else you'd like to add to the record?
No, thank you.
Okay. And how about the applicant, Mr. Bowman? Is there anything you'd like to add to the record that hasn't already been said?
No, thank you all very much for your time and being so thorough. I'm looking forward to completing this project.
Thank you. Okay. So if there are no questions, we could move to the options we have this evening, which include asking questions, taking no action, requesting additional information, scheduling a site walk, scheduling a public hearing. We talked about all those matters already. And at this point, given the general consensus, everybody feels it's a very well-designed plan. Seems like we may have a motion in the making to approve the application with or without conditions.
Motion to approve, as soon as I find it here.
Okay.
Through you, Mr. Chair, if I may ask a question.
Yes, Mary Rose.
It appears the agency is considering a motion to approve. If that's the case, the agency needs to consider if they want, typically for a permit, we would do bonding for an as-built and then bonding for mitigation. They need to consider that before you read it all in.
I'm in favor of, sorry, I'm in favor of a condition that would include the mitigation, sorry, the bond for the native plantings and mitigation. What was the other consideration? And I'm just putting that out there for deliberation, but what was the other consideration there, Rose?
Typically, we require an as-built survey that shows that things were built the way they were proposed. I don't know if that's something that Ms. Shaflo can do, or is that, we see that from a surveyor? Or if that, is that something the agency wants, or they want me to compare the proposed to the, what I find in the field with the applicant's landscape
Mary
architect and
Rose,
professional.
can you monitor this just to make sure it's done like the plan?
Right, I can review the reports, and monitor and count the number of plants that I'm put in. I'm trying to decide if you want the as-built required. It's an additional expense for the homeowners. They don't have a
I'm
survey
thinking of
as
the
it is.
property owner here. They're gonna spend a lot of money on plants and doing this.
Yeah,
Let's make it as simple as possible.
I'm
Right.
in favor of that too, Mr. Connors. And
All right,
to the extent that Mary Rose, you can assess that based on your years of experience and this process, I'm completely comfortable with waiving that requirement.
okay, so your draft motions were written with a bond for an as-built, so that would be taken out. And then your, I believe Mr. Danzer and Ms. Shaflo had recommended a 3-year mitigation monitoring period. Is that sufficient, or do you want the typical 5?
Well, I guess we could go either way personally, but if they live for 3 years, they're gonna live for 5.
So those are the two things you would change in your motions, because that was a
Do
draft.
you have an
motion you
opinion
have.
on that? I mean,
Typically, if we get good survival after 3, we will release early. But there's the ability to, after, if it's not surviving, to say, to request that they continue, but we'd only bond for the 3.
that sounds pretty good to me.
I'm fine with 3. I think it's going to be sufficient given the application. I'm not sure if anybody else has a strong feeling about it, but if not, Mr. Connors, if you could read the motion, before you read the draft motion, would the bond amount then be reduced based on the elimination or waiving of the as-built, or is that not?
Right, there were 2, typically if we have mitigation, there's 2 bonds. There's one for construction and then one for mitigation. So if you don't want a survey, then you take that bond amount out. The mitigation
Is that the
monitoring bond,
6,000?
right, that would be removed. And the mitigation monitoring bond will be something that will ask the consultants, the applicant's consultants, to calculate for us, rather than me trying to price out plants that they've already priced out.
Got it.
How about if I read this motion and you stop me or start me where you wanted to make changes?
Either that, or I can read it. Yeah, it's up to
Why
you.
don't you do that? You can make changes as you go along. How's that?
I'm good with that.
Okay, the proposed draft motion as amended with your discussion is, Mr. Chairman, after duly considering all relevant factors, I move to approve application IWC 23007, 13 Yale Avenue, based on the plans entitled Wetland Plan prepared for Joan Valancourt, 13 Yale Avenue, Milford, Connecticut, by Tracy Chalifaux, LLC, one sheet dated 7/24/23, revised 8/29/23. The information in the file and presented this evening for the following reasons. The applicant has demonstrated that the proposed invasive removal and native plantings can be done with minimal impact and will have a positive impact on the wetlands and offsite. This action will not have an impact or effect on the physical characteristics of the adjacent wetlands and watercourses, with conditions including permittee must submit a construction plan prior to taking out the permit. Permittee must submit a mitigation planting bond calculation for review prior to taking out the permit. Permittee must submit a maintenance plan for the site and mitigation work. The plan will be filed on the land records with the permit. Soil erosion sedimentation controls is outlined on the plans and in the Connecticut DEP 2002 erosion sedimentation control guidelines must be installed and maintained on the site until the site is properly stabilized. Wetland notification to be placed on the as-built to give notification to property owners. Actually, this would not happen. We're not having as-built. I take that back. Permitting is to ensure that the proposed work will not impede or create any water problems or drainage issues on 13 Yale Avenue or the adjoining public and private properties. A mitigation monitoring bond to be calculated for native plantings must be posted with the MIWA prior to site disturbance for mitigation plantings and a minimum of 3 years of mitigation monitoring by a professional wetland scientist with reports to the MIWA twice a year for a minimum of 3 years. Report to include the status of the site and any recommended corrective actions or amendments to the mitigation plan for the best stabilization of the site. If there is recommended corrective action, there must be an inspection and a report by the professional wetland scientist within a week of the corrective action being taken. If the site has not met the criteria as outlined in the plan or at the end of year 3, this bond may be held for an additional 3 years or until such time as the site meets the design criteria, whichever is later, with reports continuing twice a year to confirm status. The permittee must submit a certification by the project engineer that the completed project meets the design intent of the approval prior to bonds being released. I believe that would be the project architect. And the permit is issued 9/6/23 and expires 9/6/28.
And that is the motion made by Mr. Jim Connors. Do we have a second on the motion?
Second.
Second by Mr. Matthew Connors. Any discussion on the motion? Mr. Munson.
Yes, just quickly to Mary Rose. There was a previously we were discussing runoff, and you mentioned the runoff onto Marketplace. I assume that issue was covered under the 6th bullet point. I think permittee. The one that says
Be an
permittee.
adjoining property.
Right. Permittee is to ensure that the proposed work will not impede or create any water problems or drainage issues on 13 Yale or the adjoining public and private properties.
Including Marketplace, right? I mean, that's the intent of that bullet point, cover that issue. It would cover that issue, right?
I believe so, but the agency can amend the motion to add anything they want to it.
No, I think it includes it. I'm just pointing it out
I
to
think
make
it very
sure.
well covers it.
Yeah, I think so. All right. I'm done.
Okay, any other discussion? Commissioner Valvo, did you have something you wanted to say? You were off. You were unmuted for a moment. I didn't know if you had something to say.
Yeah, I was going to second the motion and then someone else did. I apologize.
No problem. Okay. Yeah, I'm in favor of this, and I think it's a really amazing investment on behalf of the private owner to make this kind of a design and investment. So I'm in favor of this plan. Any other comments or discussion?
I agree.
Okay. Moving on, roll call vote then. We have a motion on the floor.
Ranjit Bahav,
Yes.
Daniel Bedecker,
Aye.
Jim Connors,
Yes,
Matthew Connors,
Aye.
Steve Munson,
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Brendan Magnan.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Great. Thanks very much. Good luck. Best of success.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Mary Rose, can you take us through the next item, please? I believe it's item E1,
Yes.
new business.
Second, while we cue that up. The next item is item E1. It's IW 230053, 37 Brewster Road. This is a proposal by the property owner, Matthew Imperato, for a 16 by 20 pool deck with work within 100 feet of a wetland in the south central shoreline watershed. The agency approved a pool for this location in 2021. Construction of the deck should not have a significant impact on the adjacent wetlands if proper sedimentation erosion controls are used for any open soil conditions, and any soil from the footings is properly disposed of outside of the wetland area. My sidewalk notes are in the document links along with the applicant's site sketch. The pool currently is accessed only by a ladder. The Imperatos would like to have better access to the pool when they have their young children swimming. I'll throw the photo of the site up in just a second. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Imperato is here this evening if you have any questions for him.
Thank you. While Mary Rose is just playing that, Mr. Imperato, is there anything you'd like to add to the record that hasn't already been presented?
Not at this time. No, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. I think it's Sharon.
Yes, we can see it.
So I visited the site with Mrs. Imperato this morning. This is the existing pool, the yard. There's a small green fence that fades away behind the play area, and the wetlands are beyond that area. The lawn slopes down to that site. In the left-hand side of this photo is the corner of the existing deck. The proposed deck would go out, if you can follow my mouse, kind of where the edge of the chair is, and then back over to the pool. It's roughly 16 by 20. This is looking head on at about where the deck would be extended to. And again, looking from the play yard area up towards the house, the deck would occupy this space. You can see the ladder over here in this picture. The deck has currently has stairs over here, so it's not very easy to access the pool and to watch the kids who are in the pool. I don't think the deck's going to have a negative impact on the wetland area once constructed.
Thank you, Mary Rose. I consider this to be a JR. I'm not sure if anybody else agrees, but
Yes,
Great.
Mary Rose should just handle this, in my opinion.
The agency would need to issue a JR.
I'm happy to do that.
Yeah,
We have a
I
motion.
agree. I make a motion, Mary Rose do a jurisdictional ruling on this.
Do we have a second on the motion?
I'll second.
Okay, we have 2 seconds. So Lisa, did you get one of them?
I did Julie.
Great. Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? Yeah, hearing none, all in favor. Lisa, roll call vote, sorry.
Ranjit Bahav,
Aye.
Daniel Bedecker,
Aye.
Jim Connors,
Aye,
Matthew Connors.
Aye.
Steve Munson,
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Brenda Magnan.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you for coming before us, Mr. Imperato. Good luck with your project.
Thank you all so much. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Item E2, Mary Rose.
Okay, I'm going to share while I'm talking. There you go. All right. This is item E2. It's 230050. It's 810 West River Street. It's the city parcel known as Solomon Woods. It's a proposal by an Eagle Scout candidate, Meade Franz, to protect a portion of the trail at the city's Solomon Woods open space area with a bog walk. The trail crosses an intermittent watercourse where it becomes muddy. Hikers have used limbs, etc., as a makeshift trail crossing. Meade is proposing to build a bog walk to make the area easier to cross and to prevent repeated disturbances to the intermittent watercourse, which can cause siltation to the down gradient areas. The proposed plans and my sidewalk notes with photos of the area were in the document links this evening. Mr. Chairman, I believe we have Meade and his dad on the call this evening.
Sure.
As well as Jeremy Grant, the Open Space and Sustainability Manager. What you're seeing in the photo is the stream comes, Intamin Watercourse comes downhill from the left of the photo and across this area. You can see where this is a little muddy with tracks. And we've got limbs that have been built up over here that people have used to cross the area, make it a little less muddy. The width of the proposal, it's 32 feet long and 2 feet wide, is roughly from here to here, give or take. They're going to adjust in the field. And this is a better look upstream at the area.
Terrific, Mary Rose. Thanks for the intro. Would you like to add anything to the record, Mead, as the Eagle Scout champion for this initiative? Is there anything you'd like to add?
I have a few things to add. Mainly, I've met with Mrs. Palumbo and Mr. Grant, and we've been talking about the spacing of 8x8s as like the foot for the planks of bog walk. You can sort of see it. My plan is to use 9 8x8s as support for the bog walk, but that'll be more like it'll take up more wetland area. I could also do 6 8x8s instead, but it won't be as solid of a structure. It'll still be safe. Yeah, that shows my plan. So if anybody has any opinions on that, it'll be appreciated.
Thank you. Any opinions from the commission members? Mr. Connors, do you have a view?
Well, the 8x8s are gonna go horizontal or crosswise. What's gonna go the other way? Decking or?
My plan is to use 3 8x8s, or sorry, 2x8s as like the planks that'll go.
You're gonna make it 24 inches wide then? The
Yes.
walk area, yeah.
Yeah.
How long are the 8x8s gonna be? 24 inches, 30 inches, 36 inches?
Yeah, they'll be 24 inches so that there won't be any spacing or any extra material outside of the planks.
Okay, well, that way you're getting maximized out of material too, no waste.
Yes.
Because that'd be 8 foot long, so. Looks good to me.
Thank you.
I missed that part because my internet was flaky, but how wide is it going to be? How deep?
2 feet wide.
2 feet. And they're just going to be planks kind of stacked
Yeah,
together?
3 8 foot, I mean, actually it'll be a little, or unless you're gonna use a little space between them because the 2x8 is 7.5 inches wide.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll be doing around 1/4 of an inch spacing between the planks.
Yeah.
So water and debris can make it through.
Through you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Connors, Mr. Matthew Connors.
I'd like to entertain a motion for a jurisdictional ruling.
I'll second that.
Great, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion, further discussion? I would just add that this is terrific that you're taking the initiative, Mead, and that you have the support of the Commissioner of Open Space. You have a lot of initiative. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming before us. We're citizens just like you. We might be a little older. All right, if there's no other discussion, we'll move to a vote. Lisa?
Ranjit Bahav,
Aye.
Daniel Bedecker,
Aye.
Jim Connors,
Aye.
Matthew Connors,
Aye.
Steve Munson,
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Brendan Magnan.
Aye. Great. Motion is passed unanimously. You have approval. You have a jurisdictional ruling. Mary Rose will guide you through the process as she already has. And we'll get updates from Mary Rose. Feel free to come back and present a picture when you're done.
Of course. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Mary Rose, is there anything else you wanted to offer?
No, I think the proposal is to work on it either this winter or through the spring. So we can do a little agency site walk out there on Solomon Woods to see it when it's done.
That sounds good.
Be great. Keep us posted. Maybe we'll have an opportunity to help you with the install. If you're looking for volunteers. Okay, great. All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you so much again for coming before us.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Okay. Mary Rose, do you want to take us to, let's see, where are we on the agenda? I think
We are at the minutes for the
Yeah.
last meeting.
Do we have a motion to approve the minutes as presented from the August 16th meeting?
I can make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Mr. Munson, did I see a second from you?
Second.
Great. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, if none, Lisa, roll call vote.
Ranjit Bahav,
Aye.
Daniel Bedecker,
Aye.
Jim Connors,
Aye.
Matthew Connors,
Aye.
Steve Munson,
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
I abstain. I was absent.
okay, and Brendan Magnan.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Next up is the staff report. Mary Rose.
Righty. See if we can't pull this in quickly. I need to let you know that Commissioner Tryon has resigned from the agency. We have notified the mayor's office that we will need a replacement for her, as well as we have another opening. And we're working to move Mr. Connors up from an alternate member to a full member. And then we'll have 2 alternate members available. Also, as a reminder to those whose terms are running out this year, we'll be sending you notification, and shortly after November, I'm sure you'll see something from the mayor's office. Community Development Director may have sent you all an email with an invitation to a meeting for the Community Development Commission. It's an invitation to all the boards and commissions for a stakeholder meeting on the economic development strategic plan to help guide economic development for Milford. Unfortunately, the session is going to be held at City Hall at 6:30 on the 20th, which is our next meeting. I let her know that she missed that one commission might not be able to attend. She said that if anyone had any interest, they could she would accept their thoughts in writing. I don't know if the chair has any interest in moving anything with the meeting. We do have some things due at the next meeting for the violation.
Yeah, given that I'm not inclined to suggest we cancel it. Generally, if there's no business, that's what we would do, but
Right.
we'll have to make a decision based on unless something changes. I believe we should continue the meeting as scheduled so that we can continue to proceed on that matter.
All righty. As I get any information on that, I will forward it to y'all, and so you can submit information to her if you'd like.
Thank you.
Department of Ag is working on the spotted lanternfly program in Connecticut. We've had quite the invasion and an explosion of numbers of late. They found large numbers in Milford, mainly because we're a transportation corridor with truck stops, and they feel that they're hitching a ride and getting north that way. I was contacted, and I wanted to let you know that they're advising citizens to remove most of the preferred food source with it, which is called the Tree of Heaven, leaving 1 or 2 standing to treat with a systematic insecticide, but taking all the other food source on the properties away. The method in theory forces the adults to feed on the treated trees or disperse elsewhere to try to knock down the population we're having. Tree of Heaven can be found, in a lot of places, but remarkably in wetlands and marshes. So I've asked anyone with concerns about taking the trees down to give me a call. She had started instructing people while they were in field to do it, and a couple of people must have touched us before because they said we wouldn't let them. So we're reaching out. There's Pops on Old Gate Lane was going to work to take some down. They've got a number on their property. There's been a number seen by the mall and in general in that area. So if you see them, kill them. There's links in the notes on to the DEP websites to see about that. Other than that, you know, our regular links are on there. We've had some minor updates on sites. You know, the Alexander Drive addition's going well. They want to change their infiltrators to a rain garden. They're working with the city engineer on that. We've worked on a couple of bond releases of late, 33 Pearl and 16 Marsh. And I need to get the bond release done for the car wash on Boston Post Road. Does anyone have any questions for me?
I actually had a random question in regards to those spotted lantern flies.
Okay.
Has that been a proven method for controlling them? Because it seems kind of strange that you would remove tree of heaven is already an invasive species within itself, right?
Right.
And you're removing a food source and that we already want them to get rid of, and it might then translate to them kind of naturalizing on a native plant. No?
There's a number of other, if you go to that link in the notes, there's a number of other native trees that they eat. But they seem to really like the tree of heaven. So I guess the idea is to thin out the available food source on the tree of heavens. And then the ones that are left, ag wants to treat to try to knock down the population.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of these things so far too. And I'm just curious, where did they come from again? I didn't actually read up on them.
I found some, I was looking for the note on this, and in an old email from like 2019 came up that it was noted they were in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So they've been slowly moving up. There was an anonymous call a couple of weeks ago to ag that somebody who worked in a store somewhere in town, like, was unloading a tractor trailer and opened a box and like got hit with a whole little swarm of them. So they're coming in a variety of methods. They can attach to a car. I found one on the side of a store. You know, I was getting out of my car and I looked up and it was just hanging out on the side of a building. So they're hard to kill, actually, but people are sucking them up with like shop vacs, and I guess Homeacres Avenue has quite the infestation, and they're wrapping their tree with like the fly paper stuff to try to get them and get rid of them. So
I read somewhere where if you spray them with vinegar, it'll kill them.
yeah, I've seen different things. Somebody was like, leave a tray out that has like Dawn and vinegar in it, but you're gonna catch all the other insects too.
Yeah.
So they suck the sap out of a tree, and then they leave this, they call it honeydew paste on the tree, which calls other insects in, and then they start attacking the tree. And you start to lose, you lose the tree because it gets a mold on it, and it takes a while, but it will wind up killing them. So it's a good impetus to get rid of the tree of heaven we want to get rid of anyway. But it's something to watch out for. And I'm getting more calls now. People are cutting down trees. Okay. We had people on Gulf Pond take down a very nice grove, or would have been a nice grove of beech trees that had the beech leaf disease. And the woman was heartbroken that she was taking down these 15 trees, but by the same token, they weren't, the arborist, I've talked to the state forester, they're not going to survive. So now you've got a tree that fell in a house, and then you've got a grove next to it. You've got the tree guy there. You take it down at quite the expense. So there's a number of different diseases with the trees we're seeing that we're having to deal with.
Okay. Thank you, Mary Rose.
Mhm.
Any other questions for Mary Rose?
No,
If not, we're moving on to Chair's report. Just want to acknowledge Lisa's service and thank her for her service, even though she's not here, just put it on the record. And if anybody has any folks that might be interested in serving, please make it known to Mary Rose, so we can fill the vacancies. The next meeting is September 20th. Please let the office know if you're unable to attend. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I make it.
Oh, Mr. Munson, did you have something you wanted to?
Yeah, I was just saying, how many vacant spots do we have now?
2.
And we have
soon to
3
be-
commissioners that would be up for reappointment this year, which would be Mr. DeFlumery, Ms. Donaldson Gladue, and Mr. Magnet.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Lisa?
Ranjit Bahav,
Yeah.
Daniel Bedecker,
Aye.
Jim Connors,
Aye.
Matthew Connors.
Aye.
Steve Munson,
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Brenda Magnan.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. Thanks for your time this evening. Great to see
Good
everybody.
night.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Thanks, Mary Rose.
Good night.
Thank you. Lindsay, we're all done.